Wow, that was great. It says celebrating Denny Bellesi. Is that the easiest thing to do in the world? Pretty amazing. So welcome to this incredible celebration. It really is, of Denny Bellesi. Also, on behalf of Lisa and Brooke and Natalie, thank you for your attendance. Thank you for your participation. The rest of the family. But you know what's kind of weird is we all think we're family. You know, because Denny and Lisa did that for us. We all sort of became family. And gosh, I wasn't going to cry. I didn't want to imitate Denny, and here I am already doing that. So we're here in loving memory of Denny Bellesi. And we all agree that he was amazing. He was a beautiful person. And we come together in grief. And yet we also sense that today he is not in pain. He is not confused. He is healthy. And he's experiencing eternal life with Jesus. And that's a pretty cool thing. Yeah. Healed. Eternal joy. That's what we're celebrating today. And today we're going to hear a lot of stories, a lot of amazing stories. They're going to be fun. They'll be funny because he loves stories, and we've got some funny stories. And also inspiring. So you're going to walk out of here incredibly inspired by what, in many ways, Lisa, our producer, has put together. Oh, gosh. And I don't want to spend too much time reciting the details of his life because they did a great job in your bulletin here of the memorial information. But I just want to say that Dennis Wayne Bellesi was born June 7th, 1951 in Los Angeles. He grew up in North Hollywood with loving parents, loving siblings. He played sports. Oh, did he? He played sports. He was a girl dad, but he sure played a lot of sports, right? And he played baseball, and he played basketball, and he played golf, and even until just last year. I mean, this guy was shooting in the 70s. That's amazing, actually, that he could do that, but he did. And the family grew up in the church. The family grew up loving Jesus, which is a pretty cool thing. And when Denny was 15, his parents moved to First Baptist Van Nuys because it had a great youth group. And it was a pretty phenomenal youth group. And he was there. That was foundational. It was foundational for his ministry. It was foundational for his faith. As a teenager, he met a younger teenager. We're not going to tell you how young she was because we're still celebrating Denny. But she was so young, and her name was Lisa. Now we'll fast forward it to May 11th, 1974. They were married on May 11th, 1974. That means they've been married for 50 years. Isn't that great, Lisa? I'm not very good at dates, but I remember that date because that's the same day that Kathy and I were married, same time. I can't remember. An hour apart.
We were at 1, you were at 2.
Okay, well, I didn't know. See, she would know. See, I had no idea. Now, I remember the honeymoon stories that we used to tell at dinner, sometimes celebrating that, but that's for you to tell some other time because that's kind of at least PG, maybe even R. Many of those years, as I said, we would celebrate together, and I would always stand amazed at these two amazing people. I love them so, so much. Brooke was born in Denver because Denny was at Denver Seminary, where, of course, he got honors, and he was the president of the class. And Natalie was born in San Diego because they had moved from Denver Seminary to Youth for Christ San Diego. For some of you, this may be new information. Great place, and a great place for them. And then they moved to Calvary Community Church in Thousand Oaks, Westlake, where I know there's some of you from. Somebody gives a cheer. And all those experiences were incredibly foundational for Denny and Lisa on October 6th. What's today? October 6th. On October 6th to start a church called Coast Hills. Is that amazing? Yeah. I would imagine, as Kathy and I were there, and even before, Denny had said, do you know anything about Dana Point? Yeah, don't tell anybody, but we're moving. I was a youth pastor at a small little church called Mariners. And I said, but please don't tell the Mariners people. You know some of those people. And so we had the privilege to share and pray, and, you know, the kids, the little girls were there, and then I kind of want to be a girl dad, and then I ended up being a girl dad because I watched Denny and Lisa have these beautiful, incredible girls. But what's fascinating about that time at Dana Hills is that as they, kind of transitioned to here, it was a special place. And there's people here from all over who have come back to celebrate Denny and to celebrate Lisa as well. There were other kingdom assignments. From here, he moved on and was an interim at a church called Lake Avenue. And I can remember him saying to me, right after he was there, he goes, "I own the choir." I go, "What?" He goes, "Well, the pastor didn't pray, and so they said, would you come and pray to the choir with the choir?" And so he prayed every week that he was there with the choir because he owned them now, and that's just Denny. Other kingdom assignments, like books. I know Lisa's going to talk about that. Other churches, a ministry called Slingshot. He's so amazing, both of them, at what they've done. Denny was one of the greatest men I've ever known. And to me, greatness means, integrity, sensitivity, faithfulness to God, faithfulness to Lisa, faithfulness to the girls, faithfulness to the churches that he served. Strength of character, few like Denny, with such a great strength of character. Amazing. He was committed, he was other-centered, he was fun-loving, he was generous, and that's my list. You'll hear more. To me, Denny was always the sort of Jimmy Stewart kind of guy It's a Wonderful Life. I don't know that Denny ever realized how much he influenced us. I would say, I've been Denny'd. That's a new word, by the way, in quotes. And what that would mean is Denny had touched my soul. And he didn't get that. He didn't know that. But Denny had the ability to make people like me, but also people like you, feel like an honored guest, and you were the only honored guest. Let me ask a question. I want Lisa to see this. I want the girls to see it. How many of you have been Denny'd somewhere along the line? Wow. Yeah, my daughter Christy has her hand up. Kathy has her hand up. We have maybe the youngest kids because we have our 2 grandkids here. And they would meet Denny and Lisa at church, and I would try to explain to them who they were. We've got a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. But I would just say, this is a great man. This is a great woman. And I wanted them to know how special they were. And a lot of us have been Denny'd. The Bible says that the man of integrity walks securely, Proverbs 10:9. And I think many of us walk more secure because we were in his presence. Okay, so if that's some nice things. I've done a little crying, but I have 2 things that kind of bug me. Lisa, can I just say 2 things that bug me about Denny? Is it okay? Okay, first of all, he cried at every service. That just drove me nuts. So Denny, one day, I'm sitting over here at church, and Denny gets up, and he's giving an announcement to men's ministry, and he's talking about the breakfast burritos that they're going to have. And all of a sudden, he just kind of stops, and then he just wells up with tears and says, "And I just love you so much." I lean over to Kathy I wanted to mock Denny, and Kathy, her eyes are welled up with tears, and she goes, "Denny is so sensitive." Do you know what that's like, to not be as sensitive as Denny? Jeez. Secondly, another thing that bugged me was that he probably was the most authentic person I've ever known. And so what you see is what you get with Denny. So there was a time, and I don't think Lisa remembers this. I've told her this story a bunch of times. But one time I was sitting right where Lisa is. No, actually, I was sitting next. And then Lisa was on one side, Denny was on the other. And Denny says, "Hey, I'm going to go give the announcements." I was preaching here at the church. And I'm going to go give the announcements, and I'm going to just introduce you. I was going to the church, so not a big introduction. And so Denny gets up, and he gives his announcements. I don't think he cried at that moment. But he says, "Jim is going to speak today on relationships. And I am so glad it's him because Lisa and I last night got in a big fight." The way I remember this story is Lisa leaned over without hardly moving her mouth and goes, "I hate him right now for telling everybody in the church we got in a fight." After the service, no one came and said, "Jim, you gave a great message on relationships." They came and said, "Isn't it amazing how authentic Denny is and what a great marriage he has," after he had just said they got in a big fight. I do remember that at the second service, there was no announcement about the fight. So I think Lisa got to Denny and said, cut this right now, right? But talk about somebody who was authentic. Oh. You know, speaking of Lisa, today we want to honor you. Lisa, you have loved Denny well for plus 50 years. And you guys met when you were 13. I mean, that's a little unique. And for 50 years of marriage, you've loved well. But since this illness, and I know it's not been easy, Lisa, you showed him an amazing amount of generous love. And what a model for the rest of us. Generous support, amazing care. Lisa, you gave him a beautiful life. Thank you. Yeah. You are a total example of what the Bible calls unfailing love, and you did that so well, how you took care of him. Thank you, my dear friend, and what an example you are to us. Even if some of us will be wearing those silly wristbands later. I don't even know if Denny liked those wristbands, but he did.
He's got it in the picture. He's got it on in the picture.
That doesn't mean he liked them. He was just trying to obey his wife. I'm giving this message, not you. Okay. I'm just teasing. Anyway, I want to close with this. I think Denny's here. I don't know. He's not here physically, but I just think he's here, and I just want to say to Denny, it's not goodbye, my friend. It's see you later. Thank you.